Hello and welcome to Mobility Now, a show brought to you by the Houston-Galveston Area Council. I'm your host, Alan Clark, H-GAC's Director of Transportation. Today's show is focused on teen driver safety and a unique program to address it called Teens in the Driver's Seat. Let's get started with a short video on teenage driving.
Each year, over 3,000 U.S. teenagers die in car crashes, accounting for nearly half of all teen deaths in America. Teens are far more likely to die in a car crash than more experienced drivers. For every teen killed, about 100 more are injured. Teens in the Driver's Seat is a peer-to-peer program that encourages teens to spread the message of safe driving habits to their classmates and friends.
I think the students definitely see the value in this program. They realize the true message to not only train themselves well for driving early, but also to develop wonderful habits as they drive and encourage their peers to practice those habits. Teens in the Driver's Seat is a peer-to-peer opportunity for students to share safety in driving with other students. I can't help but think that the students are getting the message. We know that when we began this program, there were over 6,000 students per year who were involved in automobile accidents that resulted in a fatality. We know now that that number has decreased to 3,000. I'm pretty confident that my students have made a difference in the lives of our school and across the state of Texas.
The program focuses on the top 5 dangers of teen driving: driving at night, speeding and street racing, distracted driving, low seatbelt use, and alcohol use. Allowing teens to deliver the message helps lead to safer teen driving. Teens in the Driver's Seat works in 3 stages. First, a team of students is assembled to develop and spread safe driving messages throughout their school. Second, the team surveys their peers on their knowledge of the dangers of driving. Finally, the team has access to a variety of activity ideas, educational resources, and promotional items through the Teens in the Driver's Seat website.
Well, at our lunches, we decide to go ahead and have like these banners out where the different kids in the audience can go ahead and at lunch and take a sign and put their name down just to spread awareness, and we have different accessories that they can have. The response from the other students usually is, thank you, thanks for informing us, letting us know what this is, and we will try to do better instead of what we already have done. I believe it works better if the student talks to another student about what's going on, because it's more on a level basis.
Teams can also connect with other schools through Facebook to share ideas. Teenagers help shape the program and are responsible for implementing it with guidance from the Texas A&M Transportation Institute. Texas is the only state where fatal crashes have decreased year over year, and teen traffic fatalities have dropped by 40%. Teens in the Driver's Seat has contributed to this decline. Its success has been recognized in recent federal legislation, providing funding for teen peer-to-peer programs. Teens in the Driver's Seat is available to schools and youth groups in Texas at no cost. There are many ways to participate. Text I DRIVE to 69302 to get safety messages delivered to your phone or visit online.
My guests today are Russell Henk, Program Director at the Texas Transportation Institute, and Becky Denton, Principal at Cy Falls High School in Cypress. Russell and Becky are here to talk about the impact this program has had on teen drivers' safety. Becky and Russell, welcome to Mobility Now.
Thank you.
Russell, I understand that vehicle crashes are the leading cause of death among teenagers in this country, and also that teenagers account for a disproportionate number of vehicle crashes on the highway. Apart from the experience factor, why do we see vehicle crashes being overrepresented in teenage drivers?
Well, one of the fundamental reasons from the latest, greatest medical research is related to brain development. What we now know is that the frontal lobe in our brains doesn't fully develop until we're 25 years old. And that's the part that helps us with executive decision making, split decision sort of decisions that are required behind the wheel. You mentioned the experience, so that's another fundamental part of it, but teenagers, 15, 16-year-olds that are typically first getting behind the wheel, they're literally at a physical disadvantage. So that's part of our problem. The driving environment is so complex compared to even just 10 or 20 years ago, distractions and the like. So a lot of those are the fundamental challenges that we have.
Are there other leading causes of crashes among teen drivers?
Well, we kind of boil it down to kind of a top 5 risk factors. That's what's part of the platform, the message platform for the program, and those are driving at night, speeding, distractions, which we've heard a lot of here for the last few years, like cell phones. Other teens in the vehicle are a big part of the distraction, other friends in the vehicle without an adult. Not buckling up, and then of course drinking, drugs, and driving are all the major risks that are out there that you typically see one or more of in a teen crash.
Well, given the significance of this, tell us more about this program that the Texas Transportation Institute helped to develop addressing teen driving.
Well, the catalyst for the program, in 2001, I live in the San Antonio, Texas area, and we had a horrible rash of crashes back then. We lost 10 teenagers in just about a 6-week period.
Wow.
The knee-jerk reaction was, well, they must have been drunk, they're just not experienced teenagers, need stricter laws, we need more enforcement. Alcohol was involved in any of those crashes, and I just felt like we needed to do something different and get the young people more involved as a part of the solution, and simply instead of just pointing fingers at them, and more of a top-down sort of approach. So went to the Department of Transportation there, now over 10 years ago, and asked to pilot something different. And thankfully, they were receptive to the idea, and that's how we started the program.
And what makes this program different from other things?
Well, primarily it's getting the teenagers involved, activating them, using peer-to-peer influence in a positive way, and really trying to just change their culture, get them to talk about this issue. Again, the challenge is they and many parents don't realize that car crashes are the leading cause of injury and death for our young people in our state and in our nation.
And Becky, what interest did you have when you heard about this program?
I thought it was exciting that really the people sharing the message were the students. And that was very interesting for me, because they had programs such as MAD and SAD where the adult was the deliverer of the message. But I think the real selling point was that this was students taking responsibility for themselves and for each other.
Well, it's a very different idea, and I know that when I was in high school we had a lot of safety demonstrations that usually involved hauling a wrecked vehicle in the back of a truck and saying, no, don't do what these kids did. But the idea of having teenagers talk to each other, how well has that been working, Russell?
Well, it's been exciting. We've seen a lot of progress with the program in the state of Texas.
I apologize. We need to take a short break, and when we come back, more about how Teens in the Driver's Seat works and how you can be part of it. Welcome back to Mobility Now. My guests, Russell Henk, Becky Denton, and I are discussing teen driver safety. And just at the break, we were talking about this idea of teenagers sharing with their peers, their fellow students, the message about driving safely. Russell, how has this been working?
It's been working really well. Texas now has the distinction as the only state in the nation where fatalities involving teen drivers has decreased each and every year since we started the program.
Fantastic.
Not suggesting we're the only reason, but we think that's been a positive part of the experience and product of the program. We had a very detailed study that recently showed 10 counties where the program was active and then 10 where it wasn't, and the average decrease in injury and fatal crashes was an average of 15%.
Fantastic.
Pretty good results.
That's wonderful. About how many schools are now working with this program?
We've now worked with over 500 different high schools in the state of Texas to this point, so some pretty good progress.
And Becky, at Cy Falls, what have your students been doing in this program? How are they sharing the message with each other?
Well, it's really fun to watch because this program is not where it is prescriptive, where you have to complete certain things or do certain activities. Really, it has a lot of freedom and autonomy for the kids to use it the way that they see best. And our students have really made it more of a culture. And so it has just become, we've done some fun things where they do seatbelt checks, and so they're at the exit of each of the exits of the building when the students leave in their cars to make sure that they have the seatbelt, and sometimes they'll just give them a gentle reminder. We've done a lot of signatures where they commit to not text and drive or to be the designated texter. The kids were so into that one day that they decided they wanted to do it with the parents that were dropping off their students, because they felt like that it was more than just the students. We needed to spread the word. So at Cypress Falls, it's really become a culture that the kids have taken responsibility for themselves and for one another, that when they're in the car with one another or when they're in a group, that it has just become an expectation.
And Russell, I know that with some of these activities must take a little bit of help and resources. Does the Texas Transportation Institute provide any backup for these programs to the schools?
We do. Our role is really technical support. We give them a resource kit to get them started. As Becky mentioned, they kind of got a menu of project ideas to draw from. Our ideas and support are really just to be in the background, help them get started and really kind of get out of their way. You know, Cy Falls, like to brag on them a little bit because we've got no better example in the state. And Principal Denton, when we approached her about the program and first talked to her, she said, you know, I'm sold. I want to do this the best way. What is that? And what she's taken is, instead of one student group leading it, like, say, a student council, which is great, she has representation from all of her student leadership clubs. So it helps really get the complete school's buy-in. It's just, she's done it better than anybody, really. Certainly a great example.
And what feedback are you getting from students or even parents about the program,
well, I think,
Becky?
You know, first of all, thank you for the compliment, but for Cy Falls. But one of the best things is that we just decided we had to pick the right kids. You know, you pick the right mouthpieces, if you will, in the school, and the message will get out. And it really just was the right avenue. I think one of the greatest things that has been for us, I guess, was every year since I've been at Cypress Falls, and I'm beginning my 13th, until last year, we had to bury a senior from a car crash, and sometimes more than one. And I can't tell you that teens in the driver's seat was the only reason, but it was, how do I know that it wasn't? And so what are people saying? People are just saying that it's the right thing to do, and it isn't. Again, it isn't a program, and for people that's why I think it works so well. We have to not make it a program and a checklist, because no school wants one more thing to do. It just needs to become a culture that we're all taking care of one another. And with the support that you get from Russell and his group and the TTI, I mean, they are so supportive. All you have to do is put it in the right mouthpieces, and it works. And the parents love it.
That's great. That's great. So since you started this program, you haven't had a fatality among your seniors?
That's correct.
From driving? That's
correct.
That's truly wonderful. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the kinds of benefits of this program and how you work with the students. For example, do you provide them with message points, or do they talk among themselves and say, here's the thing we see that our fellow students shouldn't be doing?
Well, we try to provide them resources that they can leverage. Again, it's kind of built around the top 5 risks, things like air fresheners, keychains for the vehicles, thumb rings that remind them not to text and drive. We've got a whole host of resources, downloadable posters, videos, things of that nature that are on the website that are all free and available to them as well. So we try to really give them a menu, a wide variety, and as Ms. Denton said very effectively, it's really up to them. It's not prescriptive. There's not a step 1A, B, C.
Right.
They can do it at a time and a pace and a way that they think is cool and popular for their school and for their community.
Well, some people watching as parents may be very interested in this program. Are parents active in any way, or do they provide any support to this activity?
Well, again, we leave it up to the community and the parents. So a lot of parents, I think, do appreciate it. One of the resources we provide. The team is a big banner. It's a big 3-foot by 5-foot banner that's got the risks on it. They take it a lot even to ball games, so they're really not just impacting their school, but basketball, football games, and sports are a big thing in Texas. So yeah, parents do get involved to answer that question.
What are the questions that you get asked most about from either students or parents about this program?
I don't get any. Probably, if I did, it would be, can you talk to my child about this? Can you get him excited about this? Because again, it's not a program for us. It is what is right, and it is now, because it's in the right mouthpieces, it's what's popular. And so you put it in the right mouthpieces, and that's what we do, and that's the expectation in the culture. And they'll hold me accountable. The teachers have really bought into it. They always want to know, can we sign the pledge? Can we get a texting ring, no texting ring? And so the only really question I have is, can we do more? Can we do more? Can we get the word out? Why aren't people listening? Because it's something so simple that might save a life.
And do you have trouble keeping the message fresh?
That's one of the challenges. Teenagers are an ever-changing kind of fickle group, and absolutely, I mean, during the summer time is kind of our strategic planning time, and where we spend a lot of effort and initiative trying, okay, what are we going to do new? What's going to be fresh this year? Because if they look at it and it's exactly the same as last year, over time, it's not going to be popular and sustainable. So that's something we put a lot of time and energy into each year.
I think one of the things our seniors really capitalized on at the end of last year was really marketing it with our sophomores, because those are the new drivers. So it is fresh to them. And so it's the same message, but it is a message that's new. It's a new viewer. It's a new market. Fantastic.
And when we come back, how a high school in this region is saving student lives with teens in the driver's seat, please stay tuned. Welcome back to Mobility Now. My guests, Russell Henk, Becky Denton, and I are discussing the safety program, Teens in the Driver's Seat. And Becky, we were just talking about the success of this program at your school at Cy Falls. How many students do you think are involved as a key group in helping to make sure this message gets communicated through the school year?
I would say a key group are probably 150 students, and they are the campus leaders or the president or captain of every single event, and then they're my mouthpieces, and then they go back to their individual groups, and then they spread the word.
Well, that'd be an impressive group of kids to assemble on any campus, and I can see why that's been so successful. But obviously things need to change over time, and Russell, at the statewide level, I understand you have involvement from students in the program there as well.
We do. One of the motivating factors, we've been doing this for the last 4 years, is we have a teen advisory board. So it's teenagers from all over the state that get selected. They send in applications to be picked for the board, and they're literally almost an ongoing focus group and sounding board for new innovative ideas and telling us, the future direction of the program. It's a great leadership opportunity for teens as well, so teens and parents might be interested in that.
Yeah, I think that would be very beneficial, because they'll find opportunities in other areas of their life where they need to talk about important messages with people that they know. Let's talk a little bit about where this program is going. You said it's been in existence for 10 years, and obviously it's been very successful and very highly recognized, looking at the different awards that are on the table in front of us. Where do you see the program going into the future?
Well, we've been very blessed. We've been very fortunate. Our work has been recognized at the national level in several ways. We started in Texas again 10 years ago, but we are now working in 6 different states. Georgia, California, Montana, Connecticut, North Carolina at this point, so kind of almost coast to coast, a variety of areas. And we've expanded the program. The high school has really been the bread and butter, but we added a junior high and middle school component a few years ago, and we're pilot testing a college peer-to-peer piece. And a part of that's been the popularity. People said, boy, this is great, and wouldn't it be great to get it on the radar screen at the family unit level earlier? And then we have a lot of students that have come through the high school piece that say, man, we're still seeing problems with this, distracted driving, drinking, in particular at the college level. Fatigue, driver fatigue's a big issue. You know, can we do something like this, continue to do it at the college level? So we've been really lucky. We've been excited about the progress that we've made.
Well, Becky mentioned that a minute ago, how students are now telling their parents, hey, Mom, don't be on the cell phone when you're driving the car. I can remember my kids telling me about throwing away plastic bottles instead of recycling them. That, I think, could be a very great benefit that helps more than just the teen driving population. As you see this program continuing to grow, I'm sure, though, a lot of our listeners are thinking, we may not have that in our high school. How would someone contact, or who would someone contact to find out more information about how this program might be brought into the school of their children?
Well, they go to the website, t-driver.com. They can contact me. We have, here in the Houston area, we have regional support. Ashton and Rob are the local people here. And one point to the viewers, thanks to Texas Department of Transportation, H-GAC, State Farm of Texas, the program is free. Our support, the resources, doesn't cost you a dime. So we're very thankful and fortunate for that as well.
That's terrific. And then if someone were to contact you, what would they expect to happen? You all would come pay a visit to their principal, their version of Becky?
We're happy to do that. And the thing that we'll do is, again, try to get them started. There's an order form where they can order their resource kit, again, free of charge, and we'll help them get rolling and try and get out of their way and let the students really take the lead, because that's what they do best.
So this is really driven locally by the school and by the students at the school in terms of how they help get those messages out.
It's definitely about the students. And one student always said, if this came from my mom, I would consider it nagging. But because it came from my friend, it's just the right thing to do. And so I just think he kind of captured really what it's all about, the essence. And it's not taught in segments like a 6-week safety unit or a 6-week drinking and driving. It's just all the time, different months, we do different little boosters, little reminders, and then just all of us taking the initiative to stand up and do what's right to protect the lives of ourselves and others.
Fantastic. And can you share anything else about the program and its availability to people? I mean, does it need to start in the fall? Can it start anytime during the year?
The beginning of the school year is a great time. What we really
so during the summer would be a good time for people to think about starting the program.
Absolutely, absolutely. We really encourage them to take on small, manageable, practical projects instead of, let's get together as a school for a big assembly and talk about safety for one day, and then 364 days of the rest of the year go back to life as normal. So the beginning of the school year is great, and if they do something about once a month, that's ideal, just to keep the issue really, again, in their communication, in their culture.
Yeah, as Becky was talking about that, it's sort of an everyday activity. When they have special events, they have banners. When they have other kinds of things that you presumably do that students would observe or be part of during any particular day of the week. Of the activities that you have been engaged with, what are some examples, Russell, of the sorts of things that you thought were particularly well received or had high impact, not just here, but at other schools that are working with the program?
Well, Principal Denton mentioned one that's really common that is effective, and that's the pledge dynamic. It happens a variety of ways, but when they can make that connection and a commitment and literally sign their name to that pledge, whether it's personally or like she said, getting each other's back and committing to helping their friends be safe drivers and safe passengers, safety advocates in our community. It's an easy thing to do, but it's a common one. And I think that's a common thread with the teens is, again, if they were expected to do a big PowerPoint presentation in front of the whole school, not something they're probably going to get real excited about, but they could host a pledge at lunchtime or during the breaks between class periods, things like that. Very manageable, but very effective as well.
So trying to make that message real personal. So
kids are real willing when it happens, when they lose someone in their building. But we have had so much of that, so much tragedy, that we were really tired of that, to lose students to senseless. We understand that things will happen, but if we can prevent it, and so it has almost become this relentless pursuit of safety in the car because we just don't want to lose anyone else.
I wish we'd had a program like this when my sons were in school. One of my sons lost a close friend almost every year he was in school to some type of motor vehicle crash or accident. Well, that's all we have time for today. I'd like to thank my guests, Russell Henk, Program Director for the Texas Transportation Institute, and Becky Denton, Principal of Cy Falls High School in Cypress. I'm Alan Clark, HJC's Director of Transportation. Thank you for watching Mobility Now.